G'day and welcome to the Fred Paul Show on ADH TV. Well, hasn't Albo turned the routine appointment of a Governor-General into a typical dog's breakfast? I mean, can this guy get anything right? At this rate, I wouldn't trust him to run a plant-based hamburger stand at the Woodford Folk Festival. The first sign that his appointment of fellow woke warrior Samantha Mostyn to the office of Governor-General would not fly with Middle Australia was when the ABC said she was praised as an inspired choice. Uh-oh. If the ABC is backing it, then Mostyn, we have a problem. Quote, Professor Susan Harris Rimmer, a fellow lawyer and longtime friend of Samantha Mostyn, is thrilled she is to be Australia's second female Governor-General. She describes Ms Mostyn as a woman of wide experience in business, law, sport, arts and charities who cares deeply about Australia's future. Well, caring for Australia's future is usually code for not liking it the way it is and having unspecified plans for how we will be governed tomorrow. Janet Albrechtsen hit the nail on the head in The Australian when she said, Australia's wokest woman has been appointed to yet another cushy job. What is there to celebrate there? The appointment of the former Chief Executive Women President is further evidence, if it were needed, that the old boys club has been replaced with a new girls club. Well, a new girls club and a club of Republicans. Albo is playing games here. Mostyn doesn't have to have the power to influence the government, but she will be able to push the envelope of what is acceptable for the King's representative to comment on. And with the King himself up to his neck in green zealotry, who is going to object to Sam Mostyn pontificating occasionally on the overuse of fossil fuels by the King's far-flung colonial subjects, or the Government of Australia not spending enough of your money on subsidies for windmills and solar panels? And there is the rub. If this is a move by Albo to hasten the Republic, then I'd say he should be careful what he wishes for. A republic might not turn out quite the way he and his elitist Republican mates think it will. If we do become a republic with a popularly and directly elected president empowered to sack the government, then that president will have a more authentic claim to a mandate from the people than the unrepresentative swill in our Houses of Parliament have ever had. After all, our supposedly elected representatives are almost all party hacks who earned their pre-selection by stacking branches and promising favours to lobbyists and apparatchiks. Should we become a republic with a popularly elected president, then that president will arguably be the most authentic political representative in Australian history. Just think about that for a second. Our politics is bogged down by a two-party system that only occasionally and begrudgingly acknowledges the will of the people and has for the past few generations sat back while a permanent bureaucratic class who couldn't care less about your freedoms or cost of living has seized most of the real power. Would a popularly elected president idly let that continue? Or would he or she feel the urge to take on the corrupt powers of Canberra in the interests of the people? Really, when you think about it, some of us Conservatives should start weighing up whether the traditions of the monarchy are worth hanging on to when replacing it with a republic is the most plausible way to fix our fatally flawed current system. Hey, it's working in Argentina and El Salvador. And later this year, if the Democrats don't rig the election, it will work again in the United States. Besides, what does the royal family represent anyway? They had a chance to stand up for us when our governments went totalitarian on us during the pandemic, and they failed. Here is an excerpt from an interview I did with English cartoonist Bob Moran at his home in Somerset last year. He has recently become famous for cartoons like these. Not very respectful depictions of the royal family, but some element of accuracy in them nevertheless. Moran very eloquently explained how he, a proud and patriotic Englishman, became disillusioned with the institution of the monarchy.
None of them stood up for people and their rights. None of them opposed the lockdowns. None of them opposed the churches being closed, Easter being cancelled, Christmas being cancelled. And for me, I always supported the monarchy, but not simply because I liked the pomp and pageantry and palaces and the fancy clothes. I thought it's a good thing that we have a figure separate from government who represents our values and our character, who has sworn an oath to protect those things should they ever be under threat from anybody. If you like, that was the monarch's one role. This was the one test of the monarchy, really, that had happened for hundreds of years, I would say, where suddenly everything they had sworn an oath to protect was being destroyed, and they did nothing. Well, first they did nothing, and then they endorsed it. And then, the Queen went round Westminster Abbey wearing a mask on Remembrance Sunday, and I just thought, this is such an insult and such a betrayal to what you're supposed to represent. So, that was me done with the monarchy, obviously, at that point.